You cannot think your way out of survival mode. I promise that you can't. I, alongside the super smart 600 women that I have worked with, we have all tried and it does not work. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the exact framework that I use to heal my nervous system permanently. After a decade of living in constant stress and burnout, followed by a full-blown nervous system collapse. And so just quickly, if you are new here, I'm Kate. I'm a nervous system practitioner with the Institute of Applied Somatics. And I also hold a master's degree in health that specializes in behavior change and in women's health. I am a big believer in the idea that a health solution is really only as good as we can actually get somebody to implement it. So a lot of my work is not only geared around the practices themselves in the nervous system space, but also helping women to actually find the motivation to do them when they are so overwhelmed already. I work with women who have all or some mix of chronic fatigue, constant stress and overwhelm, energy crashes, mood swings, irritability, procrastination, rumination, numbness, and apathy, especially when they just did something amazing that they should feel really excited about, and 3 a.m. wake ups and doom scrolling to fall asleep and gut issues and spending their weekends recovering when really they should be out like having fun and enjoying their lives. And what I've seen is that the worst part really is it's not even the symptoms. It's the cost of those symptoms in the areas that matter the most to us. Quality time with the people that we love. If you're a mom, maybe your quality time with your children, or your ability to handle responsibilities that are important to you, your career growth, your income, and feeling safe holding more money. And if you're a business owner like me, or you want to be, your ability to grow and sustain a profitable business, really just all of your big dreams and goals, because you honestly feel too awful all the time to put any extra energy into them. Believe me that I have seen what constant stress can do, and I have also experienced and lived it myself. So before becoming a nervous system coach, I had my own journey. And after almost a decade of living in survival mode as this type A, always go, like I've got it kind of woman, I hit a full nervous system collapse. And I ended up bedridden and on a nearly year-long emergency medical leave from work, which I now lovingly look back on as my eat, pray, love nervous system journey, where I had to essentially fail a bunch and unlearn all of these things that I thought I knew about healing. Today, though, I'm a TEDx speaker. I'm an author. I run a purpose-driven business that is made up of an incredible team of women and the most amazing clients that I could ask for. And I did not have to give up my ambition or my drive in order to live this stress-free, easier, smaller life. I don't fear burnout or another nervous system collapse because I lead from a nervous system that has expanded to hold all of this success that I always knew I was worthy of and permanently. And this is not a placebo effect or something that I have to work at constantly. I support myself and my loved ones financially, yes, because I did permanently rewire all of my beliefs around wealth and like my worth. But I also support every person and thing that is important in my life by being able to fully show up, present, and not somewhere else mentally, completely, or drained physically. I've seen women go from chronic autoimmune conditions, depression, anxiety, work leaves, close to being fired or losing their businesses from burnout, close to divorces, watching their children start to retreat internally from all of this irritability and snapping that their moms are bringing into the home, to alive, joy-filled, symptom-free, starting or scaling businesses, getting promotions, running teams with integrity, taking on stages, healing relationships, moving to new countries, and starting to truly live these big, beautiful, robust lives that they deserve and that they always knew that they were capable of. And not doing all of that while waiting for the other shoe to drop because they know to their absolute core that they have freaking got this. I know it sounds magical. I know. And it's not. It's science. It's research that has finally arrived to explain why our old way of doing things just wasn't working and what we can actually do instead to cement more energy and presence and happiness in our lives. So let me be straight as somebody who worked in the health space prior to starting my business with nervous system work. Our healthcare systems are setting us up to fail. They want us to keep healing and they want to keep us hooked on essentially these marketing scams for quick fixes because it's good for business, but it's not good for us. We're talking about years of a chronic state of stress. A 30-day reset or an 8-week program isn't going to undo lifelong conditioning, and it will not create or cement a permanent shift towards safety. If you're anything like me and the high-performing, really badass women that I work with, then I'm sure you are super determined to feel better and get back to yourself, and that You have therefore tried to logic your way to a solution. And that probably also means that you feel like you've tried pretty much everything. Maybe even that you're starting to think like you are the problem or something's wrong with you, but you're not. It isn't. You're up against conventional health approaches that are hardly relevant for women, let alone for women who are experiencing chronic nervous system dysregulation. And a nervous system that is stuck in a survival state doesn't, unfortunately, respond to positive thinking or talking it out or deep breaths or affirmations or really any reasoning. It responds to two things: perceived safety and perceived threat. And when your nervous system is always activated, what that really means is that it's stuck in a threat response. So the way I describe this is feeling like there is a tiger in the room with you all the time when objectively there's obviously no tiger. So why does this happen? When we were younger, we didn't have the nuance of an adult mind. We took things like our parents being short with us because maybe they had like a bad day, or a classmate making fun of some way that we laughed or acted, and we took it to mean that there was something wrong with us. Whereas now, as adults, we would probably recognize that that has a lot more to do with the other person than it does with us. But then we started building rules, which are protective mechanisms. So the women that I work with often share common beliefs like, I am only worthy if I'm perfect, or I am more valuable if I'm productive and useful, or I am more safe if I put others' needs above my own. And it doesn't really matter exactly how or why. They're really just an amalgamation of billions of bits of data that are collected over a lifetime. So you'll never really figure out the true why. What matters is that those beliefs exist and they create a whole lot of stress, and you have to do something about them. Quick fixes and band-aid approaches might provide some temporary stress relief, but they are management of a deeper rooted issue. And these skewed beliefs that were once highly useful in protecting us as children now hinder us, and they keep us stuck in this constant threat mode. So if we don't rewire those beliefs that are held in our subconscious survival mind, then we will really be in for a lifetime of managing stress and forever healing instead of just moving on with our lives. It will never work to just manage stress because the stress is everywhere and constant. When you are holding limiting beliefs like the ones I just shared, and to truly heal, the focus has to be on retraining the nervous system to not feel threatened in the first place by everyday pressures. Stress management sounded miserable to me. Like, I did not want to settle for a lifetime of protocols and toolkits and a roller coaster of reactiveness. So I found another way. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the framework that allowed me to exit my healing journey and shift out of survival mode permanently without ever fearing going back. So let's get into it. The framework is made up of 3 parts. I'm going to list them out first and I'll go into each. The first is identifying the current nervous system state. The second is to implement a tailored approach to create more parasympathetic, our calm state, dominance. And the third is to cement the shift through advanced practice that goes beyond the surface level hacks, which is where my signature method, Soma Neuro Alignment, comes in, and I'll explain a little bit more on that in a sec. So first, I identified the nervous system state that I was in so that I could tailor my approach. If you have been like randomly picking up practices from Instagram or asking ChatGPT for quick nervous system tips, then chances are you are working from this mixed bag. And some of these practices could actually be making you feel worse if they are not designed to support the state that you are in. So I'll give you an example. This shaking it out, we see it all the time. Great for an activated, hyper-aroused state, but only if you downregulate immediately after, and not so great for a numb, hypo-aroused state if you do it too suddenly, and then you end up overwhelming your already fragile system, so pacing really matters. And for high-performing women specifically, somatic shaking can also be challenging if you still hold beliefs that you have to look perfect all the time, because then you'll end up feeling really like uncomfortable and kind of embarrassed for shaking your body around all freely and crazy and taking up space. And this can lead to shame, which will make you feel worse. Do you see how important specificity is here? The key here is to identify which nervous system state that you are in so you can strategically tailor your approach explicitly to that experience. Because otherwise, the practices won't work, or they will even end up doing the opposite of what you're looking for, and you'll get frustrated and you will end up feeling way more defeated than you probably already do. After identifying my state, second, I created a regulation routine that supplemented conscious mind practices like journaling and talk therapy and positive affirmations with subconscious and body-based practices like somatics and hypnosis and visualization. And just to caveat, I did eventually move off the conscious mind practices altogether because for me, They started to make me feel worse, really reactivated old wounds, and they just were no longer really helping. But I think this is where having external guidance from a professional is so important, because that is not something that I would ever recommend doing without proper support and guidance. So here's the deal. Most nervous system programs and coaches stop at the second phase. They give you some temporary relief. You start to feel better, like better sleep and more energy and fewer mood swings, and you're feeling like yourself again, and that's really awesome. But the problem is that the second that you stop doing these practices, you are right back to where you started. You're reliant on a routine, which is just as good, honestly, as being reliant on therapy or medication or the gym. And once life gets busy, which it always does, and that routine is difficult to maintain, you're probably going to drop it. And you're going to find yourself in this never ending cycle of feel better, let the routine slip and get dysregulated again, panic, and then frantically decide to implement the routine again, and on and on and on. And in my experience, that is where the most important part comes in, the third part of this framework. So I went deeper to permanently cement the shift. I traded these daily practices for a more focused, intensive approach that married advanced somatic sequencing and subconscious rewiring, both together, which is so key. Somatic sequencing retrains the body to recognize safety after years of living in survival. That's powerful enough as is, but it gets even better. Somatic sequences, when they are done thoughtfully, they bring online our parasympathetic or our rest and digest state. And this really matters because nervous system dysregulation is defined as an imbalance between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, which think fight, flight, freeze states, skewing towards sympathetic dominance. So in less jargony terminology, your threat detection is almost always firing. So you get very, very little, if any, time feeling safe and calm and relaxed. What's so incredible about this understanding of the nervous system is that it gives us an explanation as to why we, as high performing, always thinking, always going women who are in survival mode, cannot access the benefit of subconscious work like hypnosis or visualization to rewire our beliefs. We can't get into a subconscious state because our nervous system doesn't think that it is safe to let us stop thinking. So we have to stay on high alert in case something bad happens all the time. Somatic movement, however, discharges activation and it recalibrates us back towards safety. So we can sink into a subconscious reality where we can reshape our thinking quickly and effectively. And it is an absolute game changer for women like my clients and me. The third phase that we just talked about is where my signature approach, Soma Neuroalignment, was born. It marries intentional somatic sequencing to retrain the body to recognize safety again after being in survival, followed by subconscious rewiring tailored to high achieving women. The order is really important because women in survival mode can't stop ruminating for long enough to actually get into a subconscious state. So their conscious mind is on a permanent high alert for the danger, and the somatic sequencing in the first half of the practice is actually designed to gently encourage the threat response to go offline just for long enough that the subconscious mind can kind of take over, and now we can absorb the new beliefs that are installed in the guided rewiring practice. And to date, this approach has helped over 600 women reset their nervous systems permanently. So why not just stop at step 2, the routine, and just maintain it for the rest of my life? Because I am a woman of high standards. I knew that I didn't want to rely on a routine that would inevitably go out the window when my life got busy, and I knew it would. And I knew that managing my nervous system for the rest of my life was not good enough for me. Like, I had important things to focus my attention on, like my family and my career and my wealth portfolio and my damn purpose. Most nervous system programs stop at the tools and techniques and expect you to do them continuously to feel better forever. And that was not okay by me. To truly move out of survival mode and this horrible idea of healing forever and get back to actually enjoying the lives that we have worked so damn hard to build, we have to take a root cause approach that marries both subconscious rewiring and body retraining with intention. And that is exactly what we do inside of my program, Nervous System Reset. So Nervous System Reset is my signature 6-month high-touch coaching and somatic support experience to help ambitious women rebuild internal safety and capacity so that they can get back to feeling at home and fully present in the lives that they have worked their asses off to create. High achieving women in survival mode do not need more tips and tricks that they are trying to piece together into something viable. What they need is more action. Actual practice that takes all of that self awareness that you have spent years acquiring and converts it into change. You need to retrain your nervous system to actually recognize permanently that you are safe now. So, unlike most coaching programs where I swear you get coached for like 2 to 4 weeks and you're totally forgotten about after you've paid and finished the coaching, we're going to do 6 months, yes, six, of daily contact one on one coaching so we can catch the exact moments that your nervous system needs a reframe and show you what's happening in real time and help you build that data to adjust. We're also going to do weekly group soma neural alignment sessions together with me, in addition to a bunch of other calls that are also important, like hot seat coaching and Q&As and deep dives into topics that are relevant to this work, like relationships and career and leading with clarity and gut health and even more. And you're also going to get 24/7 direct messaging access with your coach and me alongside a community of women that you can reach out to in a group chat whenever you just need some advice or some celebration or maybe some motivation. And this is the part that really, really sets us apart. For 6 months following the program, you're also going to get our specialized dedicated aftercare because new realities really do take time to root. So we're not going to dump you back into the exact life that created the dysregulation in the first place because now it's misaligned, and then leave you trying to hold together this brand new nervous system with no support while life just keeps throwing stress and responsibility your way. I've shared a bunch of amazing testimonials from women that I've worked with on here and on my social channels, but let me highlight and share a little more on 2 clients that I feel are really what nervous system reset is all about. So Jess, who is now a VP of marketing, she came into this work after years of jolting awake at 3 in the morning, like total panic. And she was struggling to keep her relationship with her husband intact because she was so reactive all the time. She had built all this success in her career, but she was constantly worried that she was going to lose it because of her burnout and her anxiety. And now she is sleeping through the night without medication and she can regulate herself when things go wrong instead of spiraling out of control. And we actually just celebrated her promotion a few months ago. Congrats, Jess. And her wedding anniversary a week after. Just so gorgeous because she could finally show up. And Sarah, who is a founder, used to sit with her kids and feel like she was somewhere else entirely because she was running through to-do lists or she was always on her phone for work or just looking for distraction, frankly, from the anxiety that she had normalized for so long. And she wanted to do this work not only to hold the stress of her business, but as I'm sure all the moms out there get, to make sure that her kids stayed a priority, that they got the best of her, not just what was left over. And after this work, she brought her kids onto a call with me. It was the sweetest thing for all of them to say thank you. They told me that she's really back, like back to being with them. And at the same time, she hit her highest revenue month in her business to date. These stories, to me, really highlight something, that it doesn't matter how successful or high performing you are. You can't think your way through this. You can't use the same skills and approaches that got you to your success to heal your nervous system. All the things that you want in life, like presence and happiness and connection and that calm and balance that we all want, only come after your nervous system feels like its safety need has been met. And if you have stayed this far, then I know you're not different than these women. I know that you have to see yourself in them. You're curious. You see hope that there is this solution because of them. And that is a beautiful thing. Now is the time to capitalize on that hope, to really leverage it to get you there. Not next week, not next year, please, is your time to invest in the foundation of this life that you have always wanted to lead. And you have spent too much time, too much energy, always putting other people's needs before yourself. And it's starting to cost you in this way that I think you know only gets more challenging from here. And I get it because I also wish that there was a magic pill or some secret thing that I hadn't found yet that would heal me in like an instant. But there isn't, or we'd all be doing it. And the moment, honestly, that I accepted that was the moment that I knew that I would be okay, that I would get my life back. Because in that moment, I was done just jumping from one band-aid to the next, really, and ready to heal this thing at the root. And it took me years, it really honestly did, of trial and error and research and hopelessness and defeat and nearly $200,000 and time wasted doing all of the wrong things to get to where I am today. It takes women inside of the nervous system reset 6 months or less, 6 months or less, because I have done all that heavy lifting for them. And if you needed even more assurance, I have a guarantee that I live by, so you know that I really do not mess around in this stuff. If you do all of the work and you still need a little more time to integrate it, we will keep coaching you at no extra cost. Because when we are talking about a permanent shift, I recognize that that timeline is so unique to each woman, just as unique as her lived experience up until this point. And I will never, ever say no to a woman who I know is committed to her healing and just needs a little more time in one on one to help it sink in. I know that you are a woman of action in every other area of your life. So tell me what it's going to be. Keep waiting for life to finally calm down until you deal with this as if it's going to get magically easier, or do the damn thing. Take the next, arguably the only step towards building this life that you actually want to be living. Heal your nervous system permanently, because if you don't, the patterning follows you everywhere. New chapter, same nervous system. And at some point, you have to ask yourself how much longer you are willing to let all of this old programming, outdated, determine a life that you're trying to live right now. Your next move is simple: apply for the nervous system reset. Take 45 seconds, if that, and answer just a few simple questions and book a free 45 to 60-minute consultation with me and my team to see whether this work is genuinely the right fit for you, and you get answers, you get clarity. We do have a limited number of spots because, as I'm sure you have listened to, we are a very tailored approach. So please, please don't wait, because I have seen so many women wait, and just to be real, they get worse in the meantime. And let me end with this. You know the truth, that you are built for more than surviving a life that you are meant to lead. So when you apply, please celebrate yourself for stepping into the reality of the woman who can truly hold the success and ambition that she is destined for.